support us.
Yeah.
But if we fall into these traps that these people were laying on December the 31st, forget it. It's all over.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Well, I'll let you go.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. 520-333-4578 is the number. This is like high school, see. You know, I just slammed the popular guy in the senior class, rightfully so, and I let you know what this guy is really doing, and you're all scared to death to get on the phone and talk about it. Just like high school. Which brings me back to something else I've always said. America's nothing but a bunch of little chicken cowards. The vast American population, most of them, are cowards. And that's why you all file and pay your income tax, even though none of you can find a law that requires you to do it. Isn't that right, folks? Isn't that true? And here, you know, that's something else. Do you ever ask Alex Jones if he files and pays income tax? Good evening, you're on the air.
Hey, Bill, it's Monty from Radio Free Vermont.
Hi, Monty.
Hey, it's basically just to stir up the people.
Yeah.
Get them all whipped up into a frenzy,
Uh-huh.
and then get them to take action
Yeah.
upon that frenzy.
Oh, they almost succeeded. I mean, people really went off the deep end, and you'll hear what sparked that later. You'll hear that either tomorrow.
So, before we get into it again, I know, you're like, oh, what's going on? Why would he do that? Anyways, I hope you're enjoying the show, because, well, Bill Cooper, you know, I never got a chance to listen to him that much. I didn't know the man personally, and honestly, I didn't really take him too seriously, but I took Alex Jones more seriously because he was more flashy, I guess. And that's how America works. It's kind of sad. So, we're going to go, you know, we're just going to go straight for it. We're going to go straight for more. And, I feel kind of awkward today. I don't know why. I feel like, Elvira from her show where she shows bad horror movies. Anyways, 1, 2, 3. You can join us if you want. Go ahead and you can call in. My Skype line is also open, so feel free to do so. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to count these. Wait, hold on. There's a quicker way of doing this. Sorry, folks. I just... Let's see. 231003. 231003. 231003. Here we go.
You'll hear that either tomorrow night or Thursday night. But they actually got to that point where they panicked. Large numbers of people actually were heading for the hills. Really?
It's sick, because the one thing that we need the least is a revolution.
Yep.
We're not going to like what comes out of it. It may not turn out the way we want it to turn out. It may turn just the opposite.
Revolution, you never know what the outcome of a revolution will be.
Yeah.
But a restoration, that's something different. We all know what the outcome is going to be. We know what the goal is, to restore constitutional Republican government, to do away with the excesses in government, to arrest those who have subverted this country and destroyed it, and hold them until they can be tried by a jury of their peers as the Constitution dictates, and find out if they're innocent or guilty.
I agree. I mean...
And if they're guilty, hang them.
Lenin said that socialism was brought about through revolution.
Yeah.
And that's what these people are trying to do, basically.
They're trying to instigate the American people to rise up against the government to justify changing the entire character of this nation and bring about one world totalitarian socialist government.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Now, Bill, is it just my imagination, or has that network been the same network that Mark Kornke has had that's gone through, 3 or 4 different changes of name and etc.?
No, I don't think so. Mark Kornke and John Statmiller started out with their own network, and that became Truth Radio Network.
Right.
And Statmiller does have a show on Genesis Communications Network, but Truth Radio Network is something entirely different.
Because it all seems to me sometimes, I remember back in listening to shortwave a couple years ago, it was always the same voices, different names, always the same players in the play, just different character names.
Sure.
So,
and
I think it's just more of the same.
Yeah, and you'll never find anybody like me on any network like that, because they certainly don't want the American people to really know what the truth is.
No. Well, I'll let you go.
Okay. Thanks for calling. Or anybody like you, Monty. 520-333-4578. Monty runs Radio Free Vermont, which carries this broadcast and other good broadcasts, and he does his own broadcasting in Vermont. He has successfully whipped the butt of the FCC when he did exactly what I told him to do. See, the argument with the FCC is never freedom of speech or anything else like that. It's always jurisdiction. And if you stick to jurisdiction and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, they can't win. It's absolutely impossible. Unless they stand up openly in front of the entire world and rip the Constitution to shreds.
Which they're pretty much trying to do with NDAA and the Patriot Act and everything else. But they're not succeeding, because what do they need? The public mind. How do they get it? When the public attempts to wake up, that's how it works. Then they latch on to someone like Jones, Watt, or Ike, and then they run with it. So, how do you guys like it so far? I think it's great. And I think it's probably the best feed I've found of Bill Cooper ever. So, I'm going to play the rest of this, and then at the end, I'm going to go over a few things you should look out for on Alex Jones, and what Alex Jones is probably going to talk about in the future. And unfortunately, I have to focus a little bit on Alex Jones because a lot of people listen to his show. And so they need to know how they're being misled, because that's how they shape the future, folks. Okay? They either shape it by what you watch on TV, which is all mush, or they shape it by playing people like this on the radio, like they did since Orson Welles. You know, they've been doing this for a long time, folks. So here it is.
If they do that, then they can win anything they want to do, because they can make their own rules, which, you know, they do whenever they can. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yes, Bill, good evening. First, I'd like to say this live feed on the internet is a great thing.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I haven't been able to get you on the shortwave, so...
Yeah, you can thank Scott Becker for that live internet feed.
I thank them every night when I listen to you. Reason why I'm calling, being I live here in New Jersey, kind of reminds me of something that happened, I guess, 40, 50 years ago, when there was a radio broadcast that supposedly we were being invaded from Mars.
Oh, yeah.
Into the War of the Worlds.
Uh-huh.
And it pretty much terrorized the metropolitan area here.
It did.
People were shooting at water towers and...
Yeah.
And
what was the name of the city in New Jersey that was featured in that?
Was it Grover's Mill?
Yeah, Grover's Mill.
Yeah.
All the people in Grover's Mill forgot they even had a water tower. They came out with their guns, and they saw their water tower in the night, in the moonlight, in the starlight, and they thought it was one of the alien tripod machines, and they shot their own city water tower full of holes.
Right. And from just listening to that 45-minute clip, it just brought me back to remember listening to that show. And it just amazed me that people just don't look out their own window to see what's actually going on.
Yeah, well, I don't think they care.
Yeah.
I think they want something to be going on. I think they're waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. I think they're waiting for somebody to whip them up and get their adrenaline going and make fools out of them.
But, you know, some people want that, though.
I know they do.
And
they're called stupid sheeple.
Because I was, I work on aircraft, and that night I was working, and matter of fact, I was actually using the HF radio that he said was not working. because we do time checks all the time, and that's at 10.00. And we always, and I just wanted to listen to the Universal Coordinated Time to wait for the actual real midnight, which most of the industry uses, which was 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yeah. How'd you like the way he was whipping up the Christians by calling Putin a demon? Putin is just a human being that happens to live in the Soviet Union and has risen to some position of prominence. We may not like his politics, we may not like his philosophy, but he's just a man like everybody else. He is not a demon.
Well, he was just a person, just put on a pedestal so everybody can fear.
Oh, Cornelius Jones, he's a demon! He's a demon!
Heck, I could put some of my bosses on work and make them demons too. You know? I'm sure to be worse.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. I'll get off the air so somebody else can call.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks, bye.
520-333-4578 is the number. If you got any guts, call us up. Let us know what you think about it. If you disagree, call up and let us know what you think about it. Not too many people do that, though. They don't know how to participate in a real argument. People think that an argument is yelling at each other. An argument is two people taking opposing sides in a conversation. And why it's called an argument is because each one has to support their side with facts in a decent, polite, intelligent exchange of ideas. That's what an argument really is. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hello, Bill. I'm calling from Canada. I can barely hear you here every night. The VOA is wiping you out every night here.
Well,
but I can just barely hear what you're saying. But I listen to Jones every day, and I don't think he's a government agent. But I don't believe most of what he says.
Well, good for you. You shouldn't, because most of what he says is definitely not true.
He was trying to set us up for doomsday.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing he always talks about every day is that there's Chinese and Russian troops all over the U.S. Have you seen any?
There are no Chinese and Russian troops in the U.S. except those who are on legitimate exchange training programs.
And then another thing, he says that Canadian and Mexican troops are getting ready to invade the U.S.
That's a lie.
Can you believe this? Canadian. We only have a total of about 50,000 troops in our whole military.
Yeah.
We can barely defend our own country.
Yeah, it's just a bold-faced lie. I'm calling him a liar when he says that right now. It's a lie. Canadian troops and Mexican troops are not gearing up to invade the United States of America.
Yeah, well, that's something he repeats that every day.
I know, but the Mexican troops have their hands full with the Zapatistas down in southern Mexico, and they sure don't want to tangle with the United States of America, I can guarantee you.
Well, certainly.
They couldn't even beat the... Let me tell you something. Yeah. They'd have trouble with the Texas Rangers.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that the Mexican Army is a bad army. They just don't compare with our level of training and technology, and they've never fought major wars like we have. Their training is, they couldn't do it. They just could not do it. They're good, decent people down there in Mexico.
So what does he think they're going to do? Occupy the United States?
Who?
This is ridiculous.
It's a lie. It's just a bold-faced lie. And hold off on that. Well, see, I don't know if he's a government agent or not, but if he's not a government agent, he was sure duped on December the 31st.
Well, I think he's been duped himself by a lot of this stuff.
Well,
you know,
could be.
He actually believes it.
Wait till you hear later on, either tomorrow night or Thursday night, a general is going to come out and make an announcement that is going to fulfill all of this stuff that he's building people up to do.
Oh, about the missiles being shot off.
Well, we're not going to talk about that yet. We're going to hold that till tomorrow night or Thursday night.
Okay.
And you'll see where this is leading. He builds people up, and then the government delivers the coup de grace. And then he whips up the frenzy, and you can hear the fear and the adrenaline in his voice, and you can tell that these people are panicked.
Right on.
And it causes panic in the population, and people start heading for the hills. They were scared to death.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll keep listening.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
520-333-4578 is the number. See, I bet you most of the people who were listening on December 31st don't even have the brains to be able to put all this together and understand that they were set up to be terrorized, to become hysterical, to head for the hills, to do something stupid, and I'm awful glad that didn't happen. You see, they went overboard. They scared them so bad that they didn't riot. They were trying to dig holes. Good evening. You're on the air.
Oh, Mr. K, Cooper. This is George in Arkansas.
Hi, George.
I'm glad you've put this all out for everybody to analyze and listen